China built homes like the future was guaranteed. America built so few starter homes that in some cities, even the cheap house now costs $1 million. That single comparison explains one of the biggest differences between the two countries. China built millions of homes. America turned the first step of home ownership into a luxury purchase. And the strange part is that both countries ended up with housing problems, just in completely opposite ways. For decades, China treated housing like the foundation of national growth. If a city wanted to expand, it built. If a province wanted to attract investment, it built. If officials wanted to show progress, they built towers, apartments, train stations, shopping districts, highways, and entire residential zones. The result was one of the biggest construction booms the world has ever seen. Millions of apartments went up. Cities changed almost overnight. Small towns became skylines. Empty land turned into massive housing districts. From the outside, it looked like China had solved the housing question by simply building more and more. But the problem was not whether China could build. The problem was whether all of that building matched real demand. In many places, homes were built before enough people arrived. Apartments were sold before they were lived in. Entire blocks existed before communities formed around them. China had the cranes, China had the concrete, China had the speed, but sometimes it did not have enough actual residents for what it had created. That is how China ended up with stories of empty towers, unfinished projects, and cities that looked complete from above but felt unfinished on the ground. Now compare that with America. America has people who desperately want homes. Young adults want starter homes. Families want space. Renters want stability. Workers want to live near jobs. Cities need more housing. But in many places, America simply did not build enough. Not enough small homes, not enough apartments, not enough affordable units, not enough homes in the cities where people actually want to live. And because there are too many buyers chasing too few homes, prices climbed higher and higher. The starter home used to mean the beginning. It was not supposed to be perfect. It was not supposed to be huge. It was not supposed to be glamorous. It was the first home, the smaller home, the affordable home, the place where a young couple, a new family, or a first-time buyer could start building a life. But in parts of America, that idea has almost disappeared. In some cities, the starter home is no longer a starter home. It is $1 million asset. That changes everything. Because once the first step costs $1 million, the ladder is broken. You cannot talk about the American dream the same way when the entry point has moved out of reach. You cannot tell young people to just work hard and save when home prices are rising faster than paychecks. You cannot call it a normal market when basic homes in ordinary neighborhoods become luxury investments. This is why America's housing crisis feels so personal. It is not just about buildings. It is about delayed lives. People delay moving out. They delay marriage. They delay having children. They delay starting families. They delay building wealth. They delay independence. And for many people, the delay starts to feel permanent. That is the difference between a housing market and a housing crisis. A market gives people choices. A crisis removes them. China's problem came from building too much in places where demand was weaker than expected. America's problem came from building too little in places where demand was obvious. China built ahead of people. America fell behind people. China created too many apartments in some markets. America created too few homes in many of its strongest markets. And both situations reveal the danger of treating housing like a machine instead of a human need. In China, housing became an engine for growth. Real estate helped cities raise money. Developers borrowed huge amounts. Families bought apartments as investments. Local governments depended on land sales. Construction created jobs. Banks financed the boom. For years, the system kept feeding itself. More buildings meant more growth. More growth meant more confidence. More confidence meant more buyers. More buyers meant more building. Until the cycle became too big to control. When confidence weakened, the entire system started shaking. Developers struggled. Projects slowed. Buyers became nervous. Some families paid for homes that were not finished yet. The same construction boom that once made China look unstoppable became one of its biggest economic risks. That is what happens when homes become financial products first and living spaces second. America made a different mistake. America protected existing neighborhoods so tightly that new housing became difficult to build. Many cities limited density. Many suburbs blocked apartments. Local opposition slowed projects. Permits became complicated. Land became expensive. Construction costs rose. And builders often focused on bigger, more expensive homes because those were more profitable. So while millions of people needed affordable starter homes, the market often delivered luxury units, large houses, or nothing at all. This is how scarcity becomes normal. At first, prices rise in the most desirable neighborhoods. Then nearby neighborhoods get expensive. Then suburbs get expensive. Then smaller cities get expensive. Eventually, even the homes that were supposed to be affordable become unreachable. That is how America ended up with $1 million starter homes in hundreds of places. Not mansions, not celebrity estates, not beachfront compounds, starter homes. The bottom tier of the market, the homes that were supposed to be the easiest to buy. And that is why the phrase sounds so absurd. $1 million starter home is almost a contradiction. It means the system is no longer working for beginners. It means the first-time buyer is competing against investors, high earners, limited supply, expensive land, and decades of underbuilding. It means the American dream still exists, but the cover charge has changed, and for many people, that cover charge is impossible. The irony is that China and America both show what happens when housing policy goes too far in one direction. China shows the danger of building without enough real need. America shows the danger of not building when the need is obvious. China's skyline became too ambitious. America's housing supply became too restricted. China built homes that some people did not want. America failed to build homes that millions of people needed. Neither system is a perfect model. China proved that endless construction can create empty towers and financial stress. America proved that endless restriction can create unaffordable cities and broken expectations. The better answer is somewhere in the middle. Build enough housing, but build it where people actually want to live. Make homes available, but do not turn construction into a debt machine. Allow cities to grow, but do not build entire districts just for economic statistics. Protect communities, but do not freeze them so tightly that the next generation has nowhere to go. Because housing is not just another product, it is the base of adult life. It determines where people work, how long they commute, how much they save, whether they can start families, whether they feel secure, whether they can build wealth, and whether a country feels fair. China built millions of homes and discovered that supply without demand can become a burden. America built too few starter homes and discovered that demand without supply can become a crisis. One country ended up with too much concrete, the other ended up with too much competition. And in both cases, ordinary people paid the price. China's empty apartments show what happens when a country builds for growth instead of people. America's $1 million starter homes show what happens when a country protects property values so much that new buyers are locked out. The buildings may look different, the systems may be different, but the lesson is the same.